What is up, everybody, and welcome to the premiere episode of Snaggle Rock. As you can see right up there above me, I'm very excited to be here. I hope you all are excited as I am. Probably not, but maybe. There is a possibility. We're going to be talking a lot of MLB The Show today, and in the whittling down of the list of people who I thought would be an acceptable first guest, this name right here was at the top of the list for a long time, and I'm very happy to welcome him to the show from the very successful podcast turned live stream / still a podcast. This week in MLB The Show, we have Cooperstown Kurt. Welcome to the show, my friend.
My friend, SnaggleJ, it is a pleasure always to talk to you, whether online or offline.
I was once on This Week in MLB The Show, and for me, it was a wonderful experience. And I mean, I love what you and the Weasel do. I am an avid listener. It's one of the top rotations on my podcast listening. But I also love your positivity and your outlook, and calling yourself your self-proclaimed senior ambassador of the MLB community. But the thing is that, it's funny because some people will look at that and they will joke, but at the same time, you take that role very seriously. And a lot of us appreciate that. So on the momentous first pitch weekend, first episode of Snaggle Rock, why not have the senior ambassador on the show?
Yeah, it's not too late. I haven't gotten into bed yet, so I'm ready to go. I went to the early bird buffet special, so I'm ready.
Okay. Quick little programming note to all the viewers out there. If you are watching live, the notifications are currently turned off. Audio, they will pop up on the screen right here. I will shout all of the notifications, follows, and subs and everything out at the end of the show, just to keep the audio nice and good. I don't want Chris Jericho railroading over one of Coop's great thoughts. We're going to talk a lot about MLB The Show 18 tonight, guys. What we think. I know Kurt's been playing it. You guys know I've been playing it. So we're going to talk everything that we think so far, good and bad. But first, we're going to jump in and we're going to talk to Kurt about how he has gotten into MLB The Show and how he has gotten to where he is today with the launch last week of a very, very successful, in my opinion, live stream of This Week in MLB The Show. So I guess, Kurt, tell me about how long have you been playing MLB The Show?
So I want to say I started playing 15 was where I first started kind of dabbling into it, and then got more serious, obviously, with each year. And honestly, that was around the time when I got back into gaming altogether, because I had certainly gone away from it. I hadn't bought a console in many, many years due to life and whatnot, and I just kind of wasn't doing it. And then for a variety of reasons in my own life, my wife actually, believe it or not, my wife was like, hey, why don't you go get a PlayStation? You need to relax more in life. And I certainly did that. And MLB was one of the first things I sought out because of my love for baseball. So that's kind of where I started with MLB.
So getting back into it just in the last handful of years, how does that go from, getting back into gaming and getting back into baseball to deciding, hey, I'm going to start a podcast?
So again, I'll try to be brief, but part of it from a baseball standpoint was I was incredibly, SnaggleJ, intimidated. When I popped up MLB The Show 15 for the first time, I thought, oh no, I'm too old. I can't do this. There's no chance I can hit this ball. It's impossible. And I found the more and more I played and the more I relied on my own baseball instincts, I got better and better. And I thought, that's not right. I think older guys are a little bit more intimidated by video games than they should be. And so I started getting competitive. And then in my real life, I do a variety of entertainment things. I guess you could say I was an actor for a while. Many people have found some stuff out online and found some old clips of me, which is fun. I have no problems with that. I do a lot of writing. And then through that, I started podcasting weekly, a geek show. It was called Stay Cool Geek with a variety of co-hosts. One main co-host for many years, and I love that. Basically, it just came down to I was finding myself talking to the Weasel almost every day about MLB The Show. I mean, no joke. We wouldn't even say hello when we called each other up. It would just be like, all right, so this is what I'm thinking you should do. You need to sell this guy as many as you can, buy this guy. And so finally it just came down to, well, why are we talking about this every day on the phone? I already do a podcast. As long as the Weasel's comfortable on the mic, maybe we can make this happen. So that's kind of where it started, and that is the very, very quick version.
The very, very quick version. Well, listen, this is that like for me, that's kind of I would like how a lot of people I think get into this is it's just, it's taking that passion that you have for the game and saying, okay, you obviously have a gift for, content creation of various types, whether it be voices, whether it be acting, whether it be podcasts, live shows. I mean, you obviously have a talent for that. And that's kind of what it is, right? It's just kind of taking that and you're kind of saying, hey, I like this game. I'm passionate about this game. Let's talk about it. I think that's how a lot of things start, is just saying, hey, we have this conversation so regularly. Why don't we do something with it? Maybe that the people would enjoy.
Yeah. And why not? Right. I mean, don't you and I say that all the time? I mean, when I see guys online on Twitter, I mean, that's my main social media outlet. And they say, I'm thinking about doing something. I tell them to do it. I mean, it's funny. Snaggle, I found it so funny. There were some new guys that are doing a podcast. I'm sorry, I don't know the name. I think it's MLB The Show Cast, something like that.
Yep.
And somebody had tweeted it to me and they were like, well, does this bother you? And I'm like, no, not even remotely. No. And in fact, I turned it on and I'm like, no, actually, they're pretty good too. Like, why should we not encourage more people to do creative outlets? There's enough room for everyone as long as everyone's being their own voice. I think it's great.
Yeah, well, and that's the same thing. I had a lot of people ask when you guys made the choice to go live on Twitch. A lot of people saying, oh, like they're stepping on your guys' toes and blah, blah, blah. And I said, it's the exact opposite. The thing is that what I feel differs the MLB community specifically from a lot of other communities is that the encouragement we all have for each other, it seems to be at a much higher level than you see in, say, the Madden community or the NBA 2K community, which I, don't even go near that. But like it's the thing is you can't look at it that way. If you're a person who has that itch to create and you want to create, if you go into it being intimidated by what others are doing, you've already failed.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And that's the thing is I tell people that all the time. Well, it's like, oh, well, I'm thinking about starting streaming, or I'm thinking about doing this, or I'm thinking about doing that. And immediately I just say, okay, do it. Click the button and do it. The worst thing that can happen is that you'll fail, but you'll learn from it. And then you'll be able to make the adjustments going forward and say, okay, this is what I did. This is where I went wrong. And this is where I can get better. We all started with zero. I mean, you and Brian decided to do a podcast. You guys had no followers. You guys had no audio base, right? It's just like, hey, it's the same thing. I did the same thing. I started on Twitch. I asked my wife if she could get me a PS camera, and you know what? Have I skyrocketed to the top of the Twitch charts like Ninja? No. But you know what? I have a great community of Snaggaholics that I love and have a great connection with, and I look forward to hitting that button on the Stream Deck. And that's what creation is all about. So for you and the Weasel, you guys do this podcast. Again, I've admitted off the air, and I'll admit it on the air. I'm a big listener. I've been on your show, which I feel was probably, I didn't win the Best Guest Award for 2017, and that's okay. I don't hold any ill will. Congratulations to everyone else who was in that category. So you guys, you guys get up there, you guys keep it up through the off season. So take me through the process of deciding we're going to do a live show. How did that come about? How did that come about, first of all?
So I'll try to be somewhat humorous about it, but basically I have a history at Snaggle of Han Solo is my favorite fictional character of all time.
That's
and what
fair.
My son, his middle name is named Solo. I'm just going to put it out there on Front Street. Okay. So what I love about Han Solo is he gets in way over his head due to ambition and a little bit of arrogance. And then he's got to kind of figure his way out of things. Mm-hmm. And he can only do that with a great cast of characters and support system. That's the only way he can do that. So we were doing the podcast, and I was having fun, but I was unsure if we were going to bring it back for other reasons. And I just like to challenge myself, both creatively and technically. Like, I really do. And so I was like, well, I really enjoy the interaction from, people online, and they're DMing me, they're emailing me. Sometimes people aren't as public about that. And I thought, well, why don't we just take it to Twitch? Because clearly this outlet is still, in my opinion, blossoming and blowing up, and I enjoy it. And I also find it sort of ridiculous that we would do it. So I was like, well, why don't we just build a set and see what happens?
It's an impressive set. It's an impressive construction marvel. I'm not going to lie.
And so it became one of these things where I set out kind of the direction of what we wanted to do, but I knew we needed certain things to fall into place. For me, I absolutely had to have our producer, one of our co-producer, Big Red Machine, part of the team. Now, Brad is somebody that I have made short films with. We bounce a lot of creative ideas off each other in the world of television and film. And I didn't know if he'd be into it. And I said, look, this is what I'm thinking, and this is why it's a benefit. Can you do it? Can you basically technical direct this thing, also produce it and contribute it? I mean, that's a lot to ask someone.
Yeah.
And once he said yes, then it was pretty hard not to do it at that point. I mean, my wife knew it was going to happen. I was like, okay, Brad's going to do it. Because look, I could hook up an Elgato Stream Deck, and they're not paying me to say that, for the record, but I could hook that up and probably run what I need to do right there on the set, just hit the buttons. But that's not how I wanted to do it. I wanted somebody there, somebody managing what I wanted to do. And then it became like, well, maybe Nathan, Millennial Nate, maybe he wants to run chat. That would be cool. So that's kind of how it kind of kept going until around November was when it was like, okay, we're going to do it. I guess we're actually going to do this thing. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. If you build it, they will come, as the trailers so appropriately told us. So I mean, so you go live last Monday to now again, not having talked about this before, I would have to assume that you were happy with how it went overall. Minus, I know you were a little upset that there were some audio balancing issues, but in the grand scheme of things, like from community members' perspective, I saw it as a massive positive. There was a lot of people there. Very good attendance. Chat wasn't unruly. Everyone was very positive and outgoing. The content was great. The story about the chicken, that bringing me pretty much to tears, sitting on my couch watching this show. But overall, you had to be, and I know you, like, from following you on the various social medias and from talking to you, you don't do anything like halfway. Right. Like you're a big Halloween guy. I know. If you guys don't follow Kurt on Instagram, it's Arcade Kurt, correct?
That is correct.
Because follow Kurt on Instagram because he's a huge Halloween guy. But you don't do anything halfway. So I know immediately after the show, I seen, you were kind of upset about the audio, but overall you had to be happy with how it went, right?
Yes. Perfectionist, obviously. My concept from day one was, listen, I want to bring a TV show to Twitch from my garage with 4 dudes. That was it. I'm being straight with you. I was like, I want this to be part PTI, part Best Damn Sports Show, and then part Letterman, because sometimes I think we could have more fun as a community with the game. I believe, listen, if you want straight, I believe SDS could have a little bit more fun with some of the stuff that goes awry, some of the stuff that's fun in the game. Yeah. So that was part of it. There's a little bit Letterman in there as well. Like Weasel and I, we'll chuckle it up. We'll take some shots here and there, as long as it's in good taste. Yeah. So that was my concept. Overall, what I want to say emphatically is I was thrilled with the team and what they did. Now, a lot of people will not understand this, but let's just take my friend the Weasel, my co-host, for an example. Okay. Weasel has no background whatsoever in any type of performing or being in front of a camera, none of it. And so that was a big, question going into it. It was like, look, we're going on camera. Are you insecure with anything? You've got to be fluid, because sometimes when we do the podcast, we edit it, Snaggle. If we make a mistake, we just stop and we edit it. I'm like, there ain't no editing. We have got to go. No mess ups. If you mess up, you've got to correct it or just move through it. Yeah. And I thought he did fantastic. I was thrilled. Brad, Big Red Machine, again, background is in TV and film, but streaming, gaming, Snaggle, it's a whole new concept. He just learned OBS a month ago.
Yeah.
Like I was crazy. Like, all right, this is what we're running. This is what you got to do. So for him to actually fix the audio on the fly, I thought was very impressive. I was very grateful he did that. Millennial Nate knocked it out of the park in the chat. I mean, there was a lot of ifs going into it, Snaggle. Yeah. So ultimately, I'm happy. And if you erase, and actually the audio wasn't as bad as I had feared.
No.
When I went back and watched it, I'm like, all right, first 20 minutes popping here and there. First episode, it's a pilot. We'll fix that. But like, I started watching towards the end, and sure, there's things that can be improved upon as far as, small theatrical things that perhaps people are not interested in. But I know where it can go, and I was happy overall. Yes.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is there is a huge, huge difference between doing a podcast and doing a live show. When that podcast has the ability, like I think the same thing. When I'm on the Press Row podcast with Brian and Rich and whoever else is on the panel, if you mess up, it can be edited out. Usually when I mess up, they leave it in the show, but that's not the point. If you have a major foul up, it can be edited. It's going live the next day. When you're live, you're live. So when TJ and I, and when Millennium, makes it, shows up, and when we're live, if you mess something up or if you misspeak, first things first, chat is going to get on you. Like if when I mess up a player's name, which happens on the regular, I hear it in the chat. Like I can hear the scathing growls of the chat, yelling at me saying, "Oh my God, you messed up Sal Talamacchia again," or however that can pronounce it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But like
words, names, come on. We're all gonna, it's ridiculous. It's impossible.
But that's the thing is it's such a, and I think, one thing, like if I had to guess, listening to as many This Week in MLB The Show podcasts as I've listened to, I would have to assume that the editing you guys do is probably minimal. Because it all sounds very fluid, and you and Brian work very well together. And I mean, if you look back through, it's the same thing with TJ and I. TJ and I are, typically on the same page, when we're doing bullpen banter. If we had to edit that down for a podcast, there would be very minimal editing because we're kind of the same as you guys. But yeah, it's definitely a different animal. But both you and the Weasel both showed a very high level of professionalism. I look forward to tomorrow night, guys. If you don't already, go over to twitch.tv/Coop MLB The Show and follow, because what time is it on Mondays? It's
6:30.
6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. This Week in MLB The Show, the live Twitch version. So go follow them over there. So now we're past this. Last Monday night goes by. Yep. You've got to let 3 sleeps go by after that until you can play the show.
Don't get me started.
Okay, let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Yeah, no problem.
We are not #Sony partners, but that's not the point.
That is correct.
So finally, you get your hands on the MLB The Show 18. It is now Sunday, around 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Overall, what do you think of the game so far?
Well, I'm definitely going to answer you because it's important, but it's also a learning process, right? Like sometimes you get a game, you need several weeks to kind of break it in, but I will give you my first impressions. Let's start with the good. Okay. First of all, other than the present time right now, as far as I understand it, servers have been flawless.
Yep.
And that has been the biggest question mark going into the game, is whether they were going to work. I opened up all my packs. I played games right away. I haven't missed anything. That's been fantastic. The menus are quick. They're fast. Obviously, there's some little things to those that could be fixed or improved upon. I'm sure you feel the same way. Marketplace stuff, Show Nation, things like that. Whatever. Those are many things that can be worked on moving forward. Let's talk about the game. That's what you want to know, Ray. I feel it's good. And it feels like they've improved a lot of things that were missing last year or improved upon mistakes of last year.
Mm-hmm.
There are still some glaring issues,
Yeah.
certainly. And I don't want to get on them too hard.
No.
Because a patch is certainly coming, right?
Oh, yes.
So I don't want to grade them too harshly because I am enjoying the game. I feel like it's a little bit more balanced altogether. But obviously, there are some issues. Now, I don't know if you've seen it. I feel like, guys should not be beating out ground balls that have speed, 23, 25, and I have seen that happen multiple times.
Yep.
The ball is coming in incredibly slow, so fastballs seem irrelevant now.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? I mean, before,
Yeah.
if Chapman's throwing a fastball, you need to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, there it is. I'm actually going to just wait for slow balls right over the plate and use power swing, which I hate to say this, I hate to give anyone an advantage, but I just use power swing every batter, SnaggleJ. Regular swing isn't doing it for me, and power swing seems to give me a lot of home runs, a lot of harder hit balls. So those are the first impressions thus far. I've had few issues where I got angry or thought something was happening to AKA screw me over. That has not happened very often.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah. So like, I feel like I'm kind of on the same page. I have not had any server issues whatsoever. I have seen the odd report of people playing CPU games and them not counting.
I think TJ actually.
That happened to TJ. I've seen it happen to Jo, I think. Tweeted about it this morning. I personally have not seen that. I've played probably 20 Conquest games, and I played 4 or 5 ranked seasons games and like 4 or 5 BR games. Haven't had a lost connection. Haven't had any sort of issues. Now, to be fair, I played for 5 hours on Friday morning when a lot of people probably were at work. And I played last night, which there was a lot of traffic last night. And to me, the servers performed the same. Front end stuff, I absolutely hate that there are some things you can search from the program's screen to the marketplace, and the things like jerseys and stuff you can't. They got to get that. They got to get that fixed. That is if you're gonna base the mode solely around a ridiculous amount of programs, I need to be able to search every single program from within the program itself. Don't make me write down what jerseys I need to go buy, back out, go to the marketplace. Please fix that.
Yeah. I will tell you that I have spent more time in the market than I have playing the game, which is not usually my MO, but it's like you got to go in, out. All right, I got to put in 5 orders for this, 5 orders for that. That is frustrating.
Yeah, I've opened 140 or 160 packs so far, and then I'm grinding Conquest now. Probably gonna have Conquest done tonight or tomorrow. I'm onto the strongholds. I have like 18 left. So that's kind of where I spent most of my time. But on the field, I agree with pretty much everything you said. Defense, to me, first thing I did was I went and bought Andrelton Simmons. One game, and I went and bought Simmons. I had to. I had somebody out there, doesn't matter. I had like 4 ground balls to short that were all beat out with 50 to 60 speed guys. I went and bought Simmons immediately. And
Can I tell you something?
What's that?
I went and bought him after you said that.
I did. And what a difference it made, though. What a difference.
Who am I going to put at shortstop anyway? I trust him. That sounds good.
Yeah. People in the chat were saying, well, buy Trey Turner. I said, nope. Trey Turner's defense is not Andrelton Simmons. That's the defense you need at short, given the current landscape of the game right now. If you don't have Andrelton Simmons at short or somebody with defense on par with him, you're going to lose ball games because of it, given the way the game is right now. The pitch speed thing, I mean, I've kind of gotten used to it, but it is definitely something that the skill gap right now, there is none. Guys, you know, when you play those guys and you just know, like, the way they run the bases, the way they pitch, you know they don't have a good feel for the game just yet. And yet they're able to beat you because you make one mistake and the guy hits at 490 feet because there's no skill gap with the hitting. It's so slow.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are doing directional because why not? Just wait till it's right over the plate.
Well, and that's the other thing is people have had issues with the PCIs. The PCIs to me seem inordinately large. I immediately switched back to my usual reticle because, and honestly, I'm starting to lean towards Mills's idea of you just turn the PCI off. But the PCIs are massive for even for lower vision guys, and I think that's throwing off people visually. But I mean, and again, I'm not going to sit here and try to rail. I think it's a fantastic,
I don't think you're railing at all.
Fantastic game. And honestly, if the size of the PCI is one of the major things we're complaining about, I think that's a pretty good indication of how good of a game this is.
Sure, but now the question is, what happens when you get a guy whose vision is 140 or 125, whatever? I obviously went too high, but you know what I mean?
The PCI
now
is the
how
size
big's
of
the
the
PCI?
screen.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, I guess Guerrero's got this under control.
Well, and that's the thing is it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the next 2 weeks, to try to see if. Because, again, you have to remember, they had a closed alpha period of this game. They used that feedback to, make the tweaks that they made. I wasn't personally in the alpha, so I don't know what was different between the alpha and the final version of the game. So we'd have to get someone who was... Were you in the alpha? Are you allowed?
I was.
You were?
Yeah, I don't know if I could say. It feels very similar. So
feels very similar. Okay, so the question is... Now that we're in the first pitch weekend, which is basically a full-scale beta until Tuesday's full release, but I think anybody who has the game, 90% of them probably have it now, who are going to be playing Diamond Dynasty. It's going to be interesting to see if they make any changes over the next few weeks. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were upset that they hauled the servers down in the middle of the afternoon today.
There had to be a good reason for it, right?
I tweeted it out immediately. I quoted Tips's tweet, and I said, if they're taking it down on a Sunday afternoon, it has to be something critical. Like they're not just taking it down on Sunday afternoon of first pitch weekend because they wanted to patch a card art on some guy.
And let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Listen, anyone that has the game right now is a unbelievably dedicated fan anyway, because they bought the game early for this reason. Better this Sunday than next Sunday, right? When you have 5 times as many people playing it, all the new people playing it, that would be even worse, right?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, again, it's not ideal. I know TJ responded saying, this was the time he had set aside on a Sunday to play, and again, I'm not saying it wasn't inconvenient. It was tremendously inconvenient. All I'm saying is there had to be a really, really good reason. Because I know they did server maintenance on Friday morning at, it was 7 a.m. Eastern. Apparently they said it lasted about 5 minutes. They did server maintenance on Saturday morning, which lasted about 10 minutes, according to what I read on Twitter. So 3 straight days of server maintenance. They had already set the precedent of doing it in the early AM hours. Obviously, there was something critical that needed to be corrected immediately, and that to take the servers down and put them back up. I mean, we could sit here and speculate all day. Maybe we could get a Sony partner on the stream to let us know what is. So
I think it was the power of TJ. TJ was like, "Look, I didn't get my stats," and they're like, "We need to fix this right away."
Well, I seen Tips tweeted at him saying, "Hey, do you got a clip?" And I know TJ was live at the time because he rated my stream after he was done, and I had a few people come over. I think B-Has came over and said, yeah, TJ just lost a bunch of mission stuff because of server things. So I know they're monitoring that stuff very closely. So taking a look specifically at Diamond Dynasty. Now, now I know you like to play your cards close to the vest, but we're going to see what we can pry out of you here.
Okay. It's funny. Can I just say I know where you're going? And Weasel and I literally just had a conversation earlier today, like, we kind of figured out something we're doing, and we're like, okay, let's not tell anybody about that just yet. Let's wait a couple weeks.
Well, do you have a first 2 weeks plan on what programs you're working on?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I pretty much have been planned out for a while, and I'm in a very good place already with both routes, as it were.
Is one of them Lee Smith?
Gotta have Lee Smith. I will tell you that much. Only because he was Coach Smith.
That's right.
He was my coach at Fantasy Camp.
Can I just
Don't even care about Billy Wagner. Just want Smith.
His 68 impact veteran is filthy for a 68. Can I just say that? I'm working on him, and I've got the 68 impact veteran that you got to get the 10 innings, the 10 Ks, and the 10 saves.
Yeah.
And I'm rocking through Conquest with him. Dude's throwing like mid 90s with like a nasty slider. He's a 68, and he's out there just mowing people down. It's crazy. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna need that. Lee
Super
Smith
tasty version. Yeah. Now, did you get all the jerseys and the hats and all that?
No. They're too expensive right now. I'm waiting.
No, got all that done. See, I don't know, Snaggle.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a big question we have right now. We talk about this often. I'll just put it out there to some degree. You could go with what you just said, whereas, you know what, the jerseys are too much. The market's going to be flooded with them as soon as people start playing. But the flip side to that is, yes, but more people are going to be going for that stuff, so it could drive the prices up.
Well, I know right now, like, I'm working on the third base stuff because the other guy I'm focusing on is Chipper.
Great choice, by the way.
And for the 3 initial missions are Trevor Plouffe, Gordon Beckham, and Pedro Alvarez. 2 of the 3 of which I have completed. Those bronze and silver programs, the jerseys that you need for them are going for like 4,000 to 5,000 stubs right now.
Yep,
They're
up there.
Yeah, it's and like I said, like again, it's so crazy. I pulled one diamond player so far. It was Aroldis Chapman. I sold him for 70,000. He's going for about 50,000 now. So in my mind, right choice in selling him. You know, his price has gone down. 30% or so since I sold them. But the thing is it going to go back up? You don't know. The market is crazy right now.
Yeah.
I agree. All these new collectibles that you need to complete programs. It's crazy.
Sure, but I would say to the casual gamer, you don't need any, for the most part, you don't need bobbleheads or autographs or any of that thing. All these programs just need jerseys and hats to get to the immortals.
Yep.
I mean, you need the branch that, so if Ruth is the immortal, then you got to get Billy Williams, and there's 3 guys under Billy Williams. So you got to get the bobbleheads of those guys, but the only way you can get that is by doing their programs anyways.
Yeah.
All these other bobbleheads and bats and autographs, cool. I'm not taking anything away from them, but you don't need them unless you see the player in that program that you just desperately want. And I got to be honest, I don't think a lot of people look. I love Ryan Sandberg, and I'm looking at that. I think he's the collectible ball one, and I'm like, nah, I'm not paying all that to get Ryan Sandberg, who's they're still only giving him contact 80. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, nah, why would I do that?
Well, and that's the thing is I have 2 Luis Gonzalez bobbleheads, and I'm like, am I gonna need these later?
Well, there's
like
no
that's
way
the
to
thing.
know that.
There are programs, like for example, there's a Javi Guerra program that currently leads to nothing. It branches nowhere. So like, is there going to be another closer in the game later on? Is that second Hoffman program just going to be unlocked as Javi Guerra eventually? Like,
sure.
Are they trying like it's some of those, like right now, really, as far as I've seen, there is only one immortal that has been unlocked so far, and that is Vlad Guerrero.
Which I have to say, I was very critical of SDS last year when they did the full MLB collection, gave you a 99 Ted Williams, which I thought was really poor decision, because it was like, yeah, but you get a 92 Ted Williams just for doing the Red Sox. That seems silly. But putting Guerrero as the full collection reward was a fairly smart decision financially and community-wise. Because
absolutely.
I can't blame them, because obviously the kids are going to spend all that money to get Guerrero because they love him. So I'm like, yeah, that was a smart move. Way to go. I mean, I'm not going for him, but I got it. I was like, that's a very, very savvy move.
Well, and that's my thing, is that for me is probably the most disappointing part of the game. And again, knowing the one caveat in all this is currently I'm upset because I will never have all the team collections. I never have done all the team collections. I do the cheap ones that I can do. I think the most expensive one I did last year was the Rangers to get Buddy Bell, who went on to be the greatest player of all time in my team. But that's neither here nor there. But like the one caveat with this is I probably will never do all the collections, but apparently team epics are coming eventually, which are also going to count towards the Vlad Guerrero progression, we would assume. So like if I have to get all the 40 mans to get Vlad Guerrero and that's the only way to get him, I'm never going to get him. And that's going to be, I said on stream last night that my biggest regret in MLB The Show 17 was I never got to play with Eric Gagne. I was so excited when the Eric Gagne came out. I love Eric Gagne, you know, again, not just because he's Canadian, because he was awesome. And my biggest regret of MLB The Show 17 is I never once threw a pitch with Eric Gagne.
Is that true? Really?
And you know, I failed. I was 3 ratings points away from Eric Gagne, and I blew a game in the 9th inning right as the season was about to expire that cost me the Eric Gagne. And I blew a squeeze situation in the 8th. Anyway, so it's like that. I said it on stream last night. It's like that part of me that wants to use Vlad Guerrero so bad is I'm like, but I'm not. I'm never going to collect all the teams. I just can't see me being able to do that. So for the people that have gone and have loaded up their accounts and have Vlad Guerrero, kudos to them. And yeah, I agree. Kudos to SDS for taking, you know, a brand new hot legend and saying, hey, you guys want to get this guy? You can get him right now, but you need 30, 40 man collections.
You got to pay it. Yeah, exactly.
Get your credit card out and
right.
let's see it. One other thing I wanted to ask you is, do you think right now, 3 days into this game, that the point of entry for a casual player is as high as it's ever been? Yeah,
it's tough. I'm going to be straight with you. My brother has been playing the game for a couple of years, knows baseball, gets it, was super excited, and I mean, called me immediately. He's like, I can't figure it out. What do I need to do? I need help. That indicated to me already, like, okay, if he's having a challenge, yeah, it's a personal connection. I get it, but I was like, okay, it's pretty dense, my man. I mean, listen, Weasel found a route that I didn't even see that I jumped on. I was like, okay, that makes sense. It's tough, man. I mean, and like you said, not only to go with the different branches, but it's not as fluid perhaps as it could be. So it's difficult. You got to write down things, what you're supposed to do just to keep track of it all. I think that might be too much. At the same time, baseball is a sport filled with fans who love numbers and density. So if you're talking about a hardcore fan, no. Casual fan, absolutely. They're going to be lost right away, of course.
Yeah.
I would be lost with Madden because I haven't played it in 2 or 3 years, and I'm out of the game, so I would be totally lost. I'd be like, I don't know where to go.
Yeah. What I think, and if someone's not working on this or a link to this doesn't exist, this is a big tip to people in chat to get on this. If somebody can make me an Excel sheet where I can click on the immortal of my choice and then it immediately takes me to a page of everything that I need to do to get to that guy, that would be great. Like I have a roadmap. I really do. I have probably my first month of the game planned out, given how much I'm going to be able to play, and you know, with packs coming up and stuff like that. You know, I'm going to be losing a lot of weekends, but you know, I have what I feel is like a good 4-week plan to get me to where I need to get, or where I'd like to be as we get into May and we start to get some of the bigger programs coming out. There is a spreadsheet already, says Jimmy Biscuits. I'm sure there is. I mentioned that on stream last night. I said, I'm sure somebody is already working just as hard as Panda Waffle worked last year to put that spreadsheet together that had every reward in every part of Diamond Dynasty. And it was one unbelievable resource. But yeah, I think if you're a brand new MLB The Show guy, man, like I mean, sure, you could jump in and play BRs all day and just, you know, if you can get to the 12 wins, you can just stack a team full of diamonds. But if you jump into those programs and try to figure out what you're doing, It's a rough landscape right now. And I honestly, I was a big fan when they did the Diamond Dynasty stream of the menu system. I hate it now that I'm actually using it. I can't stand it.
Yeah, having troubles with it.
It's not intuitive to me. Like, again, I would like to be able, I would like things more broken down by what goes with what, as opposed to, hey, here's all our immortals, here's all our, like, I don't feel like it's going to be intuitive enough. Imagine what it's going to be like when we start getting, programs on a weekly or an every 2-week basis.
Ugh,
Like,
yeah,
that's the thing. Once they start unlocking like live to legend programs or whatever they end up doing it for the content plans, you start adding stuff to that screen, it's going to be awful and
cluttered and messy. Yeah, absolutely.
And TJ and I have been saying this for years. They need a notification system when you complete an objective. Mm-hmm. They need to have something that pops up and says, oh, you completed 2 hits and 2 runs with Gordon Beckham. Because after every game, I spend 10 minutes in the programs menu seeing what I did for stat-based missions.
I'm still finding stuff. I was like, there's the daily missions. Okay. Well, I can exchange guys. And I mean, for the first 36 hours, everyone was asking me, hey, where do you find your gold and diamond series starter missions? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I found them now, but I was like, I don't know. Oh, you got to keep going up, and it's these little things that look like packs. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's another thing I meant to mention earlier was when we were talking about the collectibles, make sure you're doing your daily missions to get the collectibles packs, because I've done 4 and all 4 of them have given me a diamond collectible, and 3 of the 4 of them have been jerseys. So make sure you're doing your daily missions, because you will get, it's free collectibles. And again, jerseys that are attached to programs right now, they're going for a hot coin on the market. So make sure you're doing your daily missions for sure.
Yeah, especially those road jerseys, which are the lower tier guys, the guys that get you into the career arc guys.
Yeah.
All of them. Rockies, 1,500. There's another one I sold recently, 1,900.
Yeah.
Just and if that's not a mission you're going for, just get rid of them. Just get rid of them. You're not going to do that mission. Move on.
Yeah.
Get the sub.
Sell while the selling's good. I know I went through Friday night and sold every duplicate common and bronze card I had and made like $40K, and it was the first day, because commons and bronzes they've settled a little bit now.
Yeah.
But the first day and into Saturday, they were going for ridiculous amounts. People were paying 800-900 stubs for a bronze.
Well, I'll tell you this much. See, listen, if it goes the same way that it went this year and last year, I will tell you this now. You can hopefully remember this. I probably opened up 300 packs.
Yeah.
But the way I did it, I'm going to be very frank. It's kind of too late now because prices, as you said, are settling. But so I would buy a 20 pack. You get 3 silvers. As long as you make 20K back, which you almost always did, I would just buy another 20 pack until I hit a diamond. Because your 3 silvers, 2 days ago, were going for a 1,000 each. And if you got D Gordon, he was 4K. Then you throw in, you get a piece of equipment or you get a small diamond. It was not hard to make even money over and over just by selling your silvers and golds. That's it. And suddenly you look around and you're like, geez, I have 10 bronzes. And this stuff matters when you go to the Immortal program and you got to turn in, you need 130,000 points of players. Can I tell you something? I'm done with a couple.
Yeah.
Because you just buy the packs.
And that's the thing. I mean, if you look at it, you get 6 player cards per pack. If you open a 50-pack bundle, you're getting 300 cards.
Yeah.
And yes, you're going to get some duplicates, but that's the thing. Given the market right now, and again, I haven't been on the market in a few hours, so it could be all over the place now. And I do expect the market to take another little jump when more people get in. Again, a lot of the people who are going to be playing Diamond Dynasty already have the game, but the market is going to take an uptick on Tuesday. I almost guarantee that it will. Yeah. But again, right now, the best way to get player exchanges done is just buy packs. Just buy packs.
And you never know if you're going to pull one of those jerseys that's worth 2K.
Yeah. Or you never know when you're going to pull a diamond. Again, everyone's complaining about the pull rates. The pull rates, from everything I've seen, and I've had it double confirmed, the pull rates are exactly the same as they were last year.
Well, they feel pretty good over here. I'm going to be, tell you.
Well, and the thing is that, again, if you pull a 20-pack bundle and you pull a diamond that's worth $50K, you should be at least putting, you can put the profit aside, but put the $20K back into another bundle and keep building your binder, building your inventory. Because if all of these career arcs are going to be attached to exchange missions, you're going to need as many cards as you can find. And you're going to need a lot of them. Like, again, the point totals are exorbitantly large, but
yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see, again, this is a whole evolution. Like, are we going to see, because the career arcs still have some missions that are hidden.
Yes.
You would assume that those are going to be, I would assume it's going to be gold tier player, position player programs. I could be wrong. I don't have any information there, but that seems like the next logical thing. And that's funny. And I knew it wasn't going to take long before somebody brought up in the chat that they were saying that you don't need to buy packs.
We brought that up last week.
You don't need to buy packs, but you should be buying packs right now. And again, don't think of it. If you hit a diamond, great. If you don't hit a diamond, hey, you're going to need cards to exchange.
Yeah. Just sell the silvers if you want and push and keep building up more and more.
Mm-hmm. It's
I'm telling you, I did it over and over for like an hour and a half. I was like, well, I just pulled 12 silvers. That's basically $20K. I'm right there. Or close enough. Not anymore, but I was like, all right, I'll buy another one.
Well, and the thing is, you're looking at, when you pull guys, I know I'm already mapping out investments, and I know that's a big thing that the Weasel does. And I definitely suggest you all, again, watch This Week in MLB The Show or listen to it to get Weasel's investments, because the guy is a guru in the investment world. But like, I'm looking at guys and I'm saying, okay, hey, I pulled 4 Marcus Stromans. I expect Marcus Stroman is at a minimum going to end up being a gold this season. He's a 76 silver right now. And you're thinking, again, you might not get the value out of the packs right now, but you know what? You sure as heck can get value out of them down the road. Because if you pull a bunch of guys that end up being diamonds and you end up selling them for $20K, $15K, it's a marathon, not a sprint for most of us who aren't bankrolling our teams. Do you have any final Show 18 thoughts before we move on to our little game that we're going to play?
Yeah, I'll give them one good note and one gameplay perhaps fix. Good note, at least on my end. I'm sure it happened one time. But I have seen little late hitting, the kind of stuff people were upset about. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying I haven't experienced it yet.
Yep.
So that's a positive. One thing I think that needs to be fixed is the ball is flying around the infield like a ping pong ball. I mean, that's just, again, my experience. But I mean, it's taking giant bounces over and over. It's just, it's not a lot of grounders, just kind of low on the ground. It seems a little odd to me. But other than that, that's just kind of a nitpick. Like, all right, we can fix that up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with both of those. I feel like the hitting itself outside of the pitch speed, the hitting has felt very, very good. I struggled through my first couple of ranked seasons games trying to get my timing at the plate. And
so were you early on everything?
I was early, and I wasn't taking a lot of pitches. And the thing is, one thing I have noticed so far, you really, really need to avoid swinging at pitchers that are low out of the zone. Because a lot of those last year, a lot of those hit times where you would hit a low ball and it would scoot through and find a hole. Like the first couple games, I was swinging at too many low pitches, too many weak ground outs.
Yes.
And you know what? And then the third game, it clicked and I hit 3 home runs. And some of them, like I hit a 460-foot home run with that flashback Pedro Alvarez today, and it felt good. I hit it into the bay in San Francisco. It was awesome.
Now hold on. Let me ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You're talking about the low pitches, and I could not agree with you more. I mean, I noticed it right away. I'm like, yeah, I can't hit these low pitches, but I was getting to the point. I felt like even a low strike, I couldn't get a hit on it.
Yeah, no, I agree. No,
Now that should be adjusted to some degree. If I'm squaring it up and it's a low strike in the strike zone, I felt like Snaggle. I was like, I can't get a hit on this no matter what I do.
yeah, it's yeah, and it's become a twofold problem because anything in the bottom third of the strike zone and down, I feel like you can't hit it with any sort of regularity. The one thing that has exposed is that for all that was made out of these new pitcher-catcher fielding interactions, the Bermuda Triangle in front of home plate is still very much in existence, where you can hit it in just the right spot between the pitcher and the catcher and beat it out almost every time. But in terms of the low hitting has been rough. And the one thing that it has exposed is you could climb the ladder on people, and as long as you get it up at the top or just above the top of the zone, you can have a lot of success pitching high to people. But if you make a mistake, it's going to go for a rocket ride every single time.
Yeah.
I've been making the switch full time to analog pitching. I started towards the end of 17. Now I'm going with it full time. I'm having a hard time getting the ball away to right-handed hitters. I keep leaving it over the middle of the plate, and I have paid for it several times. But I've thrown meatball sliders that are in the bottom third of the zone, middle of the plate, and they hit. It's a weak ground out to third or a weak ground out to short, and I'm like, they should be absolutely crushing those pitches, and it's not happening.
Yeah. Again, same thing. Agree.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
And like we said at the beginning, got to give him a little bit of leeway. A patch is coming. We don't know what that means.
Oh, there's always going to be patches. I mean, we're already on version 1.03 of the game, and that was before release. There was a patch in the preload. So, it's going to be.
Are they going to have a patch that makes the announcer stop saying what the card art is? Can I just say I'm not a fan of that? That really takes me out of it for whatever reason.
I personally like it.
You do?
And the reason why I like it. Okay, so first of all, full disclosure, I've turned the commentary off. I don't play
already. Again, everyone turns it off. That's why I was going crazy when people are like, D-Rome, yeah. I'm like, yeah, you're all turning it off. Come on.
Well, and for me, when I stream franchise, I do my own play-by-play. And anyone who was here, who was a fan of mine last year, knows that when I play franchise, I do my own play-by-play from the start of the game to the end of the game. So the commentary is off. I had the commentary on for a good 4 or 5 games, but as a streamer, I liked that because early in the season it's not so much a big deal. But if I'm looking at chat when a guy's coming up to the plate and I can hear in my ear that it's the silver version of a card, when I turn back to the screen, I don't need to go to the pause menu to see which version of whoever is at the plate. That's the only positive I could find out of it. Immersion wise, I hate it. And I had some people who strongly hated it, and that's fine. But as a creator, as someone who is typically looking at chat when things are going on in the background of the game, like I said, I can hear it in my ear. Oh, it's Brett Gardner, the silver rookie version. I'm like, okay, this is crappy Brett Gardner, not the Brett Gardner that's going to lace a triple into the right field corner.
Okay.
Playing devil's advocate overall as a baseball fan, and again as a guy who's maybe not an aspiring play-by-play commentator, but who enjoys providing my own level of commentary. I can't stand it. It's stupid. Okay, so.
Okay.
This is the part of the show that I've been looking forward to. This is something, guys, we're going to do every week here on Snaggle Rock. I have devised a specific to Cooperstown Kurt Canadian Citizenship Test.
Okay.
Now, there's really no pass or fail. We'll let the chat decide if you give enough correct answers to be admitted as a quote-unquote Canadian citizen.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this much. The more wrestling questions, the better. I will get them all.
Well, we'll see. A lot of these are more opinion-based than...
Oh, okay.
I mean,
like
some of them are fact-based, but a lot of these are opinions, and you will be judged on the convictions of your opinions.
Okay. I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm very excited.
All-time favorite Toronto Blue Jay.
Toronto Blue Jay all-time favorite. Okay, I'm gonna go with my man from the '80s, George Bell. Kind of a surprise there.
I mean, he was, for the longest time, he was the only MVP in the history of the franchise. I mean,
I like the '80s, man. He had great hair, great mustache. Him and Jesse Barfield. I can throw down the Blue Jays. Let's go.
All right. Favorite Montreal Expo.
Well, obviously, I would not be doing a service to my Cub fandom if I did not pick Andre Dawson.
Oh, the Hawk.
Also, great mustache, great hair.
That's true. I had it. By the way, the Hawks Impact Veteran card kills lefties. His Red Sox Impact Veteran kills lefties, by the way.
I forgot he even played with him. Yeah. Pedro Martinez, runner-up, obviously. Would love to see him in the game.
I'm more of a Rock guy myself. Like, Reigns is where it's at, but... And Gary Carter, as a career catcher, Gary Carter was always a favorite of mine.
Okay.
How many provinces are there in Canada?
There are two numbers are coming to mind. I am not looking it up. I'm thinking it over. For some reason, I feel like it's 11. Is that correct?
The answer is 10 and 3.
Oh, okay. I was
10
right
provinces and 3 territories.
I feel better about that.
Pretty sure that's an immediate fail, but we'll continue nonetheless.
Come on.
Favorite John Candy movie. I know you're a big movie guy.
John Hughes is my man. So listen, here's the thing. Is it Candy as a lead? Is it Candy as a cameo? I don't know.
Any John Candy movie that he was in.
Planes, Trains, Automobiles.
Oh, what a wonderful, beautiful movie.
It's the best movie to watch on Thanksgiving. There's no other option, period.
Exactly. I mean, to be fair, you could have said any John Candy movie and I would have been on board, but Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is definitely up there.
I like some Uncle Buck, and I like the cameo in National Lampoon's Vacation.
And you know what? My favorite Christmas movie is Home Alone 1 and 2. So obviously John Candy being in the first one was amazing because it's just the little lines and the way he delivered them. This I laugh. No one else laughs, but I laugh because I know John Candy and I love that movie. I know, man.
Saying I failed on that one. Harsh crowd here tonight.
I know. How many medals did Canada win at the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics?
That's no clue. Medals, so that includes bronze and silver, I assume.
Any total medal count?
I don't know. This is going to be awful. I just want to be near 54?
29.
Okay.
Which was 6
I went high.
6 more
I
than the
believed in my Canadian brothers and sisters.
6 more than the U.S. one, but that's neither here nor there.
No, that is here and there. Yikes.
What is the national animal of Canada?
It's got to be the moose, right? It's got to be the moose.
No, that's wrong. It would be the beaver.
What is it?
The beaver. The beaver is the national animal of Canada.
Can we take a poll whether we fix that, change that, or are we happy with it?
I'm not here to judge whether it's right or wrong. I'm just here
asking.
to judge
do you
your
think
answers.
The fine people of Canada they're good with the beaver? I don't know. I'm asking.
The beaver's okay. A bear would be good. Bear would be okay. Moose would be okay too. I mean, to be fair, the moose is on a coin as well.
Okay.
Caribou moose, same kind of deal.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking. Obviously.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, my coins, caribou moose.
How many Canadian NHL teams are there?
I don't watch hockey.
This is tough. You didn't think this was going to be a cakewalk, did you?
No. It started off so nice. It was opinion. You said opinion.
There is some more opinions. I'm saving them.
All right.
To let you redeem yourself.
All right. So I'm going to guess 14.
7.
Wow. Really? Only 7?
Only 7, yeah.
That seems really low to me. Now, remember, I do not watch hockey whatsoever.
That's fine. Neither do I. No, I
You don't?
I watch. I'm actually a Capitals fan, if you can believe that. It's one of the very few things that's one of the very few things that Mills Gaming and I agree on.
Okay. I mean, I'll throw on the Blackhawks game when they're in the Stanley Cup Finals, but
all right. I saved 2 opinion questions for the end to allow you to redeem yourself with all the Snaggaholics who are watching here live, who are all hitting that follow button at the top of the screen. Favorite Canadian musical act? Can be a band, a singer.
I mean, the first one that came to mind, and I'm sure there's a long list and a much better choice, but I am from, the late 90s was my high school heyday, so got to go Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh, Bare Naked Ladies, that's okay. I'm not a huge Bare Naked Ladies fan.
But I don't want to deal with 1 week and Ed. I want the slower songs with Steven. Mm-hmm. Old Apartment's a good one.
They're getting back together for one show, actually, the whole band.
Yeah. Who else am I missing in that? Who else? I
thought you were going to say the Tragically Hip. I was where you were going. I was like, he's going to say the Hip. I was mouthing it to chat. He's going to say the Hip. You didn't say the Hip, which is fine.
Okay. I mean, Alanis Morissette, right?
Oh, yeah, Alanis Morissette, Bachman Turner Overdrive, The Guess Who, Rush. Rush is another one of my big time faves.
I could have said Neil Young.
Neil Young.
Could have said
Neil Young's more American than Canadian.
Oh, you know who? Wait. Let's stick with the 80s thing. What about? What about Canadian classic rocker Bryan Adams?
Bryan Adams, another good one.
Arcade Fire. I blew this question. Arcade Fire is the band I have the most albums of from Canada.
One of my horrendous teenage years guilty pleasures is the duet that Bryan Adams did with Mel C of the Spice Girls, When You're Gone. That comes on the radio, and I still snap my fingers and know all the words, and it's really sad.
Wow.
I know it's that. I was like my heyday in high school though. When
I hear you,
the Spice Girls were at the top of the chart. Okay. Last but not least, and I had this question written down, and I know you are a gigantic old school wrestling fan.
Yes.
Why is Bret Hart the greatest Canadian wrestler of all time? Or is he? You can go contrary, but I've already set you up now so that you will ultimately be the heel.
Well, we got who's his competitors at this point? Jericho. Who else? Who's yours? Jericho's your guy. He's number one.
For me, it's if I had to pick my Mount Rushmore of Canadian wrestlers, it would be Bret Hart, Jericho, Edge.
Didn't have a long enough career.
I know, but it was so impactful in the time that he was there. Mm-hmm. Hard to say what I would pick for a fourth one.
Is it Benoit?
No, Benoit's ruined for me.
He's ruined for all of us.
To be fair, before everything happened, I wasn't a huge Benoit fan. And I know, unpopular opinion, I was not a massive, wasn't a big Benoit fan.
Right.
I mean, there's so many ways you could go. B has with a good one. Pat Patterson is a lot of people forget how good of a wrestler he was. If you're old enough, or you have enough access to archives to see some of Pat Patterson's stuff. First ever Intercontinental Champion, by the way.
So I always get, here's what I'll say. I always get kind of thrown a loop when people say, who's the greatest wrestler? Because I want to know, does that mean just in ring? Does that mean character? Is it the combo? Because I think that's a vastly different answer. Like for me, wrestler, probably Bret Hart. I would agree with that. But as far as character goes, wasn't my man Roddy Piper born in Canada?
Yeah.
From a character standpoint, there's there's no contest.
See,
it's Piper. But wrestler wise, I do give it to Bret. But Jericho's not done. And when you look at the entirety of Jericho's career, if you combine character with wrestling, it's hard to not say him.
Yeah. If you look at Jericho's career,
right,
the whole thing, back to when he was in Japan, then WCW, and then the whole WWE coming in and, winning the title, beating Austin and The Rock in the same night, going away, reinventing himself and coming back, going away, reinventing himself and coming back, going away, reinventing himself and coming back. Now he's reinvented himself again. He has a cruise going on with all these old school wrestlers and guys that he's met. It looks really cool, but I'm not going on it. But for me, I think ultimately the thing that take for granted with Jericho is he does take, especially in the last decade, he has taken these breaks along the way. And I think people just assume eventually he's going to come back. One of these times he's just going to walk away and he's going to be done. And I think it's probably sooner rather than later. I think he's at the point in his career where he's doing stuff that he's really wanted to do. The whole wrestling with Kenny at Wrestle Kingdom in Japan. He really wanted to do that. I mean, they're from the same hometown. A lot of people forget Kenny Omega, also Canadian, from Winnipeg. So, like, they're from the same hometown, right? Like, these guys have a long personal history with one another. Like, it was something he wanted to do. And because he's got the stature and stuff that he has, he's able to do that. So I think ultimately, when it's all said and done, there is a case to be made that Jericho is on par with Bret Hart in terms of his total career.
Would you say, being from Canada, that perhaps the reason Hart is put above him is because Jericho, although probably better and with a more sustained legacy, Hart was just so big for a certain number of years that it's hard not to look past that. Is that possible?
Like, see, you know what? It's kind of funny because being someone, you know, I'm 36. So, I mean, 90s for me was like my formative years. Like, for me, I consider Bret Hart's career to be tragic, if nothing else.
It is.
Because he was so good. And like a lot of other guys, he got blinded by the money. He went to WCW, who obviously they did not use him properly. And then one Goldberg kick to the face, and that's it. It's over.
Yeah. And also thrown in there is the Hogan nonsense.
Oh, man.
They never wrestled. And then I will go on record over and over. I have never liked Hogan.
No.
It's fine if you do. I just don't like him. And that's part of the reason why. I mean, this is like, he didn't want to get in the ring with Bret because he would look embarrassed. He would be embarrassed.
When you were a 6 to 10-year-old kid in the mid to late 80s and Hogan was the guy, you thought he was great because he came out and he talked about saying your prayers and eating your vitamins and training. And he beat all the bad guys, whether it was Sergeant Slaughter in a Gulf War themed atmosphere, whether it was Andre the Giant, whether it was Yokozuna. I mean, he beat them all. And then WCW happened, and he became the bad guy. And then when WCW started to spiral out of control, that's when the stories started to come out. And by then, I was a late teenager. So the stories started to come out about what Hogan had done in... Because, I mean, when I was 11 watching WrestleMania 9, and, you know, the whole nonsense with Yokozuna and Bret Hart and Hogan happened, I was like, okay, that's kind of strange. When you read about it 10 years later, and you're like, it was Hogan playing politics in the back, it drives you nuts. Not as a Canadian, but because you knew Bret Hart had that top level potential, and then all the stuff happened with him and Shawn, and like to me, I think it's really easy to make a case that Jericho is the best Canadian wrestler that there's ever been, just based on the fact that, again, with Bret Hart being blackballed by Hogan, and then the issues with Shawn Michaels, and then the injury, and then how WWE has used him since then, basically as trotting him out when they're in Canada and bringing up old Shawn Michaels things. Like, man, it's hard. Yeah. I love Bret Hart so much, but
me too.
But
sometimes he does come across as a little bitter sometimes, and I'm like, come on, Bret, man, you're better than this. Come on, buddy.
By the way, another low key Canadian wrestler who never ever. And if any of you follow me on Twitter, you guys know where I'm going with this. Possibly the most disrespected mid-carder in the history of WWE is Rick Martel.
He's all right.
Rick Martel was a world champion in NWA.
Has he got the perfume, man?
Yeah, but
he's got the perfume.
Rick Martel was
blindfold match with Jake Roberts.
That was what was happening at the time.
I'm just trying to poke you.
I know. But
Strike Force, Tito Santana.
Tito Santana was. I mean, Tito Santana's in the Hall of Fame, isn't he?
I believe he is. He should be.
Yeah, Rick Martel not in the Hall of Fame.
Didn't make the cut. Didn't make the list.
And again, a lot of people forget he was Canadian. The model stuff was dumb.
Who would be briefly? Who would be the one guy you'd put in the Hall of Fame if you could right now?
Man.
And don't name a guy that's obviously going in like, well, Undertaker, obviously. Well, we know that.
That's tough.
Okay.
Honestly, if I had to put someone in the Hall of Fame who's probably never going to go in the Hall of Fame, it would probably be Chris Benoit. Because
Okay.
ultimately, I think when you compare, the thing is, the WWE Hall of Fame, we all know it's a joke now, right? I mean, Kid Rock's going in for bleep and bleep sakes. Like, it's awful. I'm done with the WWE Hall of Fame. It's awful. The decisions they make are terrible. I don't have anything against Hillbilly Jim, but like
He's a nice guy.
come on, right? Like,
Right.
like, like you compare him to other people. But like ultimately, without all the extracurricular stuff, Chris Benoit should be in the Hall of Fame. He's never going to go in. But then again, no one ever said that China was going to go in. And here we are. Different story, though. I mean, China didn't, do what Chris Benoit did.
It's never happening for Benoit.
And I mean, we got some good suggestions in the chat. Owen Hart, too. I mean,
that has something to do with the family, right?
Yeah, Owen Hart's family has prevented the WWE from literally mentioning his name, pretty much. Yeah. And to be honest, I mean, can you blame them?
Yeah. I want some. I mean, other than CM Punk, which is probably never going to happen, although it could. I'm going to go back to the *80s in character style. Listen, man, I need to see the Honky Tonk Man up there.
Yeah,
come on, dude.
Honky Tonk should be in too.
I mean, I'm not saying he's a great wrestler, but he was an amazing character.
Yeah.
Right in the thick of things with the mega powers before it all went down.
Yeah. Honky Tonk was Honky Tonk has got a lot of negative heat over the years. Now that he's gone on the shoot scene, as they call it.
Right.
And trying to stay relevant by literally throwing anybody under the bus in a shoot interview.
Yes.
Basically, anybody, he'll throw anyone under the bus. And that has really soured, because he's thrown a lot of current WWE employees under the bus, specifically Road Dogg, who is a booker for WWE now, who basically, Road Dogg, the whole Road Dogg Billy Gunn thing happened because Billy Gunn was working with, they were calling him Rockabilly, and he was working with Honky Tonk. He smashed him with the guitar. So basically, Honky Tonk put Billy Gunn over and started the New Age Outlaws. But now he's gone on, he's discredited so much of his career with what he's done in the current day. But Honky Tonk Man should be in the Hall of Fame based on what I agree with you.
I'm out of it now. I left the scene after 20 years of dedicated fandom. I left after Punk left. Yeah. I'm sure it's great now. I'm happy that people love it. I'm a character guy, and every week I would look forward to certain guys. And when it became, for me, again, just for me, to each their own, but when it became, all right, I'm watching this 3-hour show just to see what these two guys do because I'm not a Cena guy. Yeah. I'm fine if you are. I respect him. I'm just not a Cena guy. No. And that kind of drove me away. Michaels left, Punk left. Jericho was in and out. Those were the guys I was, kind of connected to. And I'm sure there's great work happening now. It's just not for me at this particular time.
Yeah, it's for me, the story aspect of it has died. Or the stories they are doing are dumb. And they're not appealing to a middle-aged individual such as myself.
Yeah.
And, if I'm going to watch wrestling, I prefer to watch New Japan, where while they don't tell stories, the wrestling is so much better.
You got to have one or the other.
And that's the thing is right now, WWE, I'll admit, their in-ring product has gotten better. But the problem they've encountered is as their product got better, their injuries also mounted. So they kind of scaled it back because everyone was getting hurt. All their big stars were hurt. Finn Balor was out for a long time, and they had so many injuries. And it's just, I can't watch Raw and SmackDown on a weekly basis. Not because I would rather be streaming, but because I would absolutely rather be doing anything else other than watching wrestling. I literally anything. I'd rather be grinding Conquest simulations, which I'm, So overall, Coop, man, I don't know about the citizenship test. I think we'll have to leave it to the comments.
I don't think I made it. I didn't make it.
You didn't get the provinces right. I think that's kind of like a deal breaker question. If you don't get the number of provinces, we can't put you in. But
okay,
guys. First of all, Kurt, I would like to thank you for coming on the show. being the first ever guest here on Snaggle Rock. I appreciate it, buddy. I appreciate, again, you open your arms to me last year. So I was more than happy to ask you to come on the show. And I'm glad you said yes.
Absolutely. I appreciate being here. You and your whole squad are great, and you've been great friends to us, and we've had a good relationship. And I appreciate that.
Excellent. I'm a big fan. Guys, make sure that you guys go over to twitch.tv/Coop MLB The Show. Give it a follow. Monday nights at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. Coop in his Pacific time. I mean, he's out there in Cali. It's probably like 70 degrees out there right now.
It is exactly about 72 degrees. I might go in my pool or hot tub right after this, buddy.
Not even kidding. It is 28 degrees where I am right now.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir.
Okay.
I left that.
That's okay. I got heat, man. So, guys, make sure you guys go to twitch.tv/Coop MLB The Show. I'm going to throw the link in the chat because I can type and do things at the same time. Go, guys, make sure, listen, their live show is so good. If you guys missed it last week, go to the channel right now when we're done here. Watch the VOD. It was fantastic. Make sure you subscribe to their audio podcast in your podcatcher of choice. I use Pocket Casts. I'm sure it's available on iTunes and Android and every other podcasting source that you can ever find. Coop, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to continuing to work with you to build this wonderful community that we've started.
Absolutely. SnaggleJ, you're the man, and you're welcome to, if you're ever out here, to come on by and get on the show. We'd love to have you, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a like if you drew a straight...
We're not Sony partners, so you probably won't be invited.
Hey, first of all, it's hashtag Sony partner. If you're gonna mock them, you got to get it right.
I'm not mocking.
I'm glad that's as far as we went with that on the show. By the way,
of course, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
I remember.
I streamed last night with hashtag Snaggle partner in my stream title. I'm glad.
Nice.
I'm glad nobody asked me what it was about because I.
Hey, look, some guys are Hogan and some guys are Bret Hart, and they just got to keep grinding away until the moment comes that people are like, okay, can't deny them any longer.
That is so good.
All right, buddy, be well.
Okay, well, listen, I'm gonna let you go, Kurt, because I'm gonna shout out all the people who followed and stuff during the stream.
Thank you, sir.
And I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, guys, twitch.tv/Coop MLB The Show. You can follow him on Twitter at TWI MLB The Show.
That is correct.
Oh, man, I even got my socials down. Premiere episode, flawless production value here on the stream.
All right, be well.
Kurt, thank you very much, buddy. Guys in the chat, thank you guys so much for coming by and hanging out for the first episode of Snaggle Rock. I appreciate it so very much. OTR Pod and Drunken Amish, thank you guys for the follows. I greatly appreciate it as well. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys follow the channel up at top there. Hit that follow button. Also, you guys feel free to subscribe. If you guys have Amazon Prime, you can link it to your Twitch. Get yourself some Twitch Prime action. Subscribe to the channel. One channel a month for free, supporting your favorite streamers. Thank you guys for all the wonderful feedback in the chat. If you guys missed any part of the show, I am going to highlight it. We're going to get the links on Twitter. We're going to be doing this, guys, every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be back with a brand new episode of Snaggle Rock. We've got some good guests lined up, some that are a little more predictable than others. But you know what? We're gonna have some really cool stuff coming up. Bob, you got to put a space so people can click the link, Bob. Guys, make sure you guys go vote in B Haz's Twitter poll. I think he's trying to get some people to help pick a franchise. So guys, go vote. Go help Snagaholic B Haz out. Guys, I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys for coming by. Real quick, we're going to jump over into the dashboard here before we go. We are definitely going to raid another member of the MLB The Show community. Let's see. Who's playing MLB The Show? We're going to send all our people over to someone. Let's see. Guys, we're going to go hang out with Nixie. Nixie is doing a Padres franchise right now. Guys, we're going to We're going to go hang out with Nixie, guys. Again, thank you guys so much for all the love here in Snaggle Rock. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, at SnaggleJ, if you have any feedback. I'd love to hear your feedback, whether it be positive or negative. Again, how I can improve the show and make it a better experience for you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for coming by. And I'm going to hit this button, and we're going to hit that button. We're going to go hang out with Nixie, guys. As always, you guys are too sweet. I will catch you guys on the next one. And until next time, peace.